Today on Carolina Week, from the Capitol to the courthouse, we take a look at the North Carolina politics affecting the nation.
And in Chapel Hill, it's Study Abroad Week and American Indian Heritage Month. We'll tell you what's happening on and around campus.
All this and more next on Carolina Week.
From the UNC Hussman School of Journalism and Media, connecting Carolina's campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to Carolina Week. I'm Kelly Kendall.
And I'm Stephen Schlink. Let's jump right into the riveting North Carolina midterm election results. We are now on the other side of the most expensive midterm election in United States history, with experts estimating over $16 billion were spent. Nationally, there are still 55 races yet to be called for the United States House of Representatives. On the Senate side, Republicans are leading by one seat, with 4 yet to be called and 2 that are too close to predict. Here in North Carolina, we begin with the U.S. Senate race between Cheri Beasley and Ted Budd, but has maintained a slight lead in the polls and ultimately won with 50% of the vote. Moving now to congressional races, Democrat Valerie Foushee and Republican Courtney Geels competed for North Carolina's 4th congressional seat. Ultimately, Foushee was chosen to represent our district by over 96,000 more votes than Geels received. Shifting gears now to the North Carolina legislature, the House remains under Republican control, with Republicans holding 71 out of 120 seats. On the Senate side, Republicans gained a supermajority, winning 30 of 50 seats. And speaking of the Senate, Republican Landon Woods and Democrat Greg Meyer vied for the District 23 seat. Coming into Election Day, respondents to a general North Carolina Senate poll favored a Republican candidate slightly more than a Democrat. This poll did not pan out in this race, however, as Meyer won the seat with 67% of the vote. As we said earlier, there are many races still being decided. We'll follow any developments and bring updates as they're available.
And a little closer to home, 2 former political rivals are reuniting this week on campus. U.S. Senator Thom Tillis and former NC State Senator Cal Cunningham will discuss building and maintaining friendships across the political divide this Thursday at an event. Tillis and Cunningham faced off in the NC Senate race in 2020. UNC's program for public discourse is partnering with the UNC Center of Politics to host the event. Students who are interested can register online at publicdiscourse.unc.edu. The event starts at 5:30 p.m. on Thursday in the Nelson Mandela Auditorium. That's located in the FedEx Global Studies Center.
Over the weekend, the North Carolina Supreme Court ruled in favor of increasing public education funding. Judges voted 4-3 to fund the Leandro Plan, requiring the state to increase school funding and teacher pay. The plan's ultimate goal, ensuring every child in North Carolina gets a proper education. The decision has been nearly 30 years in the making since the plan, which stems from a 1994 lawsuit, was first introduced. We'll be taking a deep dive into the impact of the court's decision next week.
A local commission is gathering feedback on a petition for an ordinance it wants the town of Chapel Hill to implement. Over the last few weeks, the Campus and Community Coalition has met with longtime Chapel Hill residents and students to discuss a new noise ordinance. Residents, specifically those in Northside neighborhoods, expressed their frustration over the current ordinance not being heavily enforced. In a meeting last week, many said the lack of enforcement has changed their neighborhoods for the worst. One of the key takeaways has been figuring out ways to hold students accountable without criminal proceedings. Raina Young is a member of the coalition and a part of UNC government.
The town of Chapel Hill is going to adopt this. It's something that people need to know about, and education should be an investment if it is going to be a deterrent, as they're saying it is intended to be. People have to know about it in order to not do it or to be afraid of what the penalty therein would be.
The petition for the ordinance and the ordinance itself are still under review.
But Kelly, something that's not under review is the end of an era for UNC students and faculty. Starting this spring, the university will transition from Sakai to a new platform called Canvas.
Yeah, Stephen, the university has been planning the move to Canvas for a while now. A number of courses have already been hosted on Canvas since last fall, allowing some Tar Heels to test out the new software.
This semester, instructors had the option to use either of the two learning management systems for their courses. We asked some students how they feel about the move to Canvas.
I have negative experience with Canvas. I used it throughout all of grade school, and it was just bad. It was just consistently bad all the time.
Sakai kind of sucks, to be honest. I prefer Canvas.
I used Canvas in high school, and I definitely think that Canvas is a better platform for learning and for school.
I think I would prefer Canvas or Sakai just because I'm more used to it since more of my classes are on there. But I think it'll be a pretty smooth transition to Canvas, honestly.
Well, Stephen, I've actually never used Canvas before. Have you?
I haven't either, so it'll definitely be a big learning curve and obviously a big difference from what we're used to.
Right, but I mean, as long as I'm seeing A's in the grade book, I'm not too picky.
I agree with that position.
There are some more students who are hoping to get some A's this semester, and that are seniors. Seniors who are planning on graduating in December should apply for graduation ASAP. Go to your Connect Carolina portal and select Apply for Graduation in the drop-down box of the Academics tab. Spring graduates have until mid-January to apply for their special ceremony.
Stick with us here on Carolina Week for a look at some of the exciting events going on right here on campus after this.
Baby, you see, you're so right for me, and I'm right for you. I love the things you do, like sweet tasting wine. Your lips are so divine. Your loving turns me on. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go. Baby, never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go.
As the weekend approaches, so does the premiere of the Black Panther sequel, Wakanda Forever. This weekend, the undergraduate business program is hosting a private screening of the highly anticipated film at the Varsity Theater on Franklin Street. Your free ticket includes popcorn and a drink. You can sign up at go.unc.edu/UBP Community Movie. But hurry, there are only 80 spots available. UNC's Sexual Health and Relationship Education, or SHARE program, is hosting a Reconnecting with Sexuality After Trauma workshop this Friday. During the session, participants can expect tools, resources, and open discussion regarding healing from sexual trauma with mental and sexual health experts and professionals. It'll be in the Student and Academic Services Building North from 4 until 6.
To celebrate American Indian history and culture, UNC's American Indian Center is hosting a month of events for this year's Heritage Month. Established in 1990 under the leadership of President George H.W. Bush, the month of November is officially declared as a time to reflect on and acknowledge the past, present, and future contributions of American Indians to our country.
We get mistreated a lot by the Carolina community in the university. And in my head, I'm just like, please give us this month to just listen to us and let us have our space, because we have no safe spaces on this campus besides the safe spaces we create for ourselves.
Oxendine says this month's events, like the ones you see on your screen, will celebrate the culture, traditions, and achievements of the nation's original inhabitants and their descendants.
It's important to celebrate our resilience, because even though we're still here, people act like we're a fictional character, and we're not just something that you see in movies or TV shows or in books or your history books. We are still living, and amongst all the odds, we have a good population of us that we're still striving.
The American Indian Center is celebrating American Indian Heritage Month with a series of events, including a lecture, cultural activities, discussions, and more, both on and off campus.
UNC Study Abroad Week begins Monday to kick off the 2023 application period. From November 14th through the 16th, students can visit the FedEx Global Education Center for info sessions and presentations about study abroad programs in the new year. If you're interested in studying abroad next summer or fall, applications typically open in November, with most due in February. We spring forward and then we fall back. Well, it's time for the latter yet again. Reporter Kyle Ennis spoke to some students about their thoughts on daylight savings time.
The end of daylight savings Sunday pushed clocks back an hour, and even though it happens every year, it still confuses many, especially non-Americans.
I'll get into a class and then there is no one for a whole week.
For years, health experts have researched the physiological impacts of this time change. However, some are not losing sleep over it.
The brain adjusts based off of light conditions. It doesn't adjust based off of the clock.
Improving sleep, though, is not something that can happen overnight.
Consistency, the trend, is what the brain really cares about.
Well, who knows if daylight savings time is such a bright idea? Either way, it might brighten your day. In Chapel Hill, I'm Kyle Ennis, Carolina Week.
You know, I've actually heard there are some people trying to stop the time change altogether.
You know, Stephen, I think I'd actually be in favor for that. I tend to prefer when it's lighter out later.
I do too. You know, after you get done with school or work, you have so much more time in daylight to do stuff outside.
Precisely. Maybe ending standard time should have been on the election ballot this November.
I agree. And you know, something else that should have been on the ballot, I vote we keep the beautiful weather outside.
Me too. But it does look like things are cooling down, unfortunately. Let's turn to meteorologist Brian Foster for this week's forecast.
Well, the results are in. Looks like Mother Nature is going to win this round. We got a tropical storm making its way towards Florida right now. Might make landfall as a hurricane in central Florida. It's going to curve its way towards North Carolina. It's going to bring some big impacts to our area. The timing looks to be around Thursday night, going through all the day on Friday. The weekend looks pretty cool, but for the storm itself, I'm more concerned with the heavy rain this could bring. Got some hefty rainfall totals, these stronger thunderstorms that could develop within Nicole itself. Got some gusty winds as well. With the amount of rain we could see, could be enough wind out there to actually knock down trees, maybe have some more power outages. Similar to what we had with Ian, though I'm optimistic we may not get as bad as we did with Ian when it moved through about a month or so ago. And once Nicole gets done moving through North Carolina, it's going to skirt up the East Coast, and we've got some really cold temperatures moving in behind that. And I'll show that on the 5-day forecast. But talking about Nicole, my biggest concern is the heavy rainfall we could see from the storm. Right now, current models have the heaviest rainfalls focused on the western side of the state. That's because it looks like the storm might trek further west because of that. So if this trend continues over the next 2 days, we could see some more of those hefty rainfall totals keep moving west and lessen our rainfall totals from the Chapel Hill, Raleigh area. This is around 1.2, 1.5 inches of rain. So just keep in mind, because have some heavy rains at times, and really is going to be moving in earnest probably on Friday morning, Friday afternoon. And speaking of those gusty winds, this is the forecast for the winds we could see from the storm as well. Sustained winds around 15, 20 miles an hour. Could have some higher gusts of 20 to 30 miles an hour. Might be enough to knock down some of those weaker trees in the area. Could knock out some power to someone in the area. So be mindful of that as the storm moves through later on this week. But looking at the forecast for tomorrow, and bring your attention to what we're going to be having tonight, because some cooler air moving in from Canada is going to keep us cool tonight. You'll feel that if you're going to be out later this afternoon, going into the evening hours. Looking at our forecast for tomorrow, look at this. We've got some more cool air still under the influence of that cool air from Canada. It's going to make its way, it's going to move out of the way as Nicole makes its way into North Carolina. Another thing to point out, there's a huge snowstorm happening in the northern plains. Really cool to see how we have two different drastic weather systems. Heavy snow in the northern plains, while we have some hurricane potentially making landfall in Florida. So something cool to look out for if you love the weather as much as I do. But looking at the forecast for your tomorrow day plans, for Thursday, waking up in the morning, you might want to bring a jacket. 54 degrees is cool for you. I'm hoping we can see some sun in the morning, but the clouds be really moving in earnest around lunchtime, growing in even thicker in the afternoon hours. Rain starts moving in tomorrow night, and the heaviest rains looks to be coming in Friday morning and Friday afternoon, so be mindful of that. And once Nicole moves through, I mentioned that cold air will be moving in and behind that, and as a matter of fact, National Weather Service has issued us to be well below average starting next week, maybe even further beyond that. Look at this huge swath of below normal temperatures for basically almost the entire country, except for Alaska. So one thing to keep in mind that we're finally going into fall, finally feeling those colder temperatures moving into the area later on next week. And you'll see this in our 5-day forecast. To start this week, it's kind of pleasant. Today is going to be partly sunny. Temperatures will be close to the lower 60s, maybe upper 60s as well. By the time we go into tomorrow and going on into Friday, clouds really start building in. Could have some rain showers moving in tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, but I'm really focusing in on the rain. They'll be moving in Friday afternoon. This is all from Nicole. Remember, this could be heavy at times. Could see some ponding on the roadways. Could see some flash flooding. The rain comes down heavy enough that I'm hoping we could lessen those rain totals if Nicole keeps moving further west. Besides that, Nicole will finally leave the area by this weekend. Look at this. Our temperatures really dropped. 66 degrees for a high on Saturday. Not bad. But Sunday, look at this. Our highs may not even break the 40s Sunday afternoon. So be mindful of the cooler temperatures we're going to be having next week. That's all I have for you guys. Be careful throughout the storm coming in on Thursday and Friday, and have a great week.
Thanks, Brian. Looks like it's time to whip out a raincoat this weekend.
Yes, absolutely. And UNC announced a new system for the Duke Lottery, and it's kind of controversial. We'll walk you through it right after this.
I'm Chris Jakomick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakomick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. My service never stops.
STEM is everywhere, like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that could be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker boards.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
Over the weekend, Carolina Athletics changed its ticket lottery system regarding men's basketball games against Duke.
The new system creates separate lotteries for the game. One is a lottery that rewards students who go to most of the men's basketball games, while another lottery was created for graduating students, and a third is for underclassmen. Stephen, how are you feeling about this change?
I kind of don't mind it. It seems like it kind of encompasses everybody and kind of gives everybody a fair shot. What about yourself?
Yeah, it sounds like it'll be encouraging me to go to a lot of games, which not that I needed the encouragement in the first place.
Absolutely, especially the Duke UNC games. Those are always the best. And the fight for a Duke ticket started on Monday with the basketball game against UNCW. Let's turn now to Sports Extra anchor Kyle Lobenhofer for more.
Thank you, Stephen. The preseason #1 overall was in action Monday night as the Heels had their first regular season game against UNCW at the Dean Dome. The Heels got off to a bit of a slow start, even allowing the Seahawks to take a lead for most of the first half. It was a defensive battle, and Leaky Black showed up by getting a huge block to force a shot clock violation. Caleb Love passes out to DeMarco Dunn, who hits the floater in the lane for his first points of the game and season. RJ Davis defeats the full court press by crossing over the defender and going right to the rack for the easy layup. Caleb Love drives in the lane and flexes his way to the free throw line for another and one opportunity for the Tar Heels. Love would give the Heels a 16-point lead, the largest lead of the game with 4 minutes left. RJ Davis wreaked havoc all night, including this shake and bake right to the hoop with 2:46 left in the game. The Heels would end up holding on 69-56. They play the College of Charleston on Friday at the Dean Dome. The women's basketball team, led by Alyssa Usby and Deja Kelly, kick off their season tonight at 7 against Jackson State in Carmichael Arena. After securing its 25th ACC title in program history, the North Carolina field hockey team now turns its focus to winning yet another national championship. The road to Storrs, Connecticut begins Friday at Karen Shelton Stadium as the Tar Heels will host the winner of Delaware and Lehigh. The top-ranked Tar Heels are led by fifth-year forward Aaron Matson, who was named ACC Offensive Player of the Year after tallying a conference-high 22 goals. Friday's second-round tilt is set to start at noon. If the Heels win, they'll play again on Sunday for a trip to the Final Four. With the NCAA tournament fast approaching for the women's soccer team, Olivia Mundorf is at Dorrance Field to take a look at the Heels' possible path to win their 23rd national title.
After suffering a tough loss in the ACC championship game, the UNC women's soccer team is turning their attention to the NCAA tournament. The Heels lost to Florida State 2-1 in that ACC championship game, and Florida State claimed the #1 overall seed of the tournament. But the #1 seed on the Heels side of the bracket is Notre Dame, which will make for an interesting Elite Eight matchup if both teams make it and the Heels travel to South Bend for a trip to the College Cup on the line. But until then, the Heels will be right here at home at Dorrance Field. And Tar Heel fans, you better get here to support this team. The first round of the tournament is 7 p.m. on Saturday night, where the Heels will take on Old Dominion. From Dorrance Field, I'm Olivia Mundorf.
Thanks, Olivia. Let's hope the team starts off the tourney strong against Old Dominion on Saturday. Shocking news out of the NFL after the Indianapolis Colts fired their head coach, Frank Reich. Even more surprising was the Colts' choice of interim head coach. Former Tar Heel and Colt legend Jeff Saturday is the guy, despite having no previous coaching experience at the professional level. Saturday inherits a Colts team that has largely disappointed this year, as they've stumbled out of the gates to a 3-5-1 record. The Colts take on the Raiders this week in Saturday's first official game as head coach. While former Tar Heels are making waves in the pro ranks, one new Tar Heel is quickly building a reputation of her own. Aman Patel has the story.
Before ever attending UNC, Sofia Kovacs was a rising star on the fencing strip, placing third in the Junior Olympic Championships. The sophomore Sabrist has now placed in both the October North American Cup and the Temple Open. Kovacs credits the culture created by her teammates for her success.
I have never had a team behind me like cheering me on while I've been fencing, so looking back and seeing just everyone screaming and everyone like having that high intensity, I definitely fed off of that a lot.
The winning, however, is no surprise for head coach Matt Jednak.
Yeah, I think she has this piece where she constantly tells me that she has to prove herself and that she has to show the value that she has. And I keep trying to reiterate that I saw it from day one, even before you got here.
As a transfer, Kovacs will still have 2 years of eligibility left, and there's great enthusiasm for what she can do. I'm Aman Patel, reporting.
Tune in to Sports Extra Friday for a preview of a massive weekend of Carolina sports with plenty of postseason play. You're watching Carolina Week, so stick around.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
We don't have time for spills. Next.
We don't have time for setbacks. Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot
helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
This year, celebrate Vote Early Day
and make your voice heard.
Each year, the amount of people voting early grows.
And this fall, over 220 million Americans can vote early.
In person,
by dropping off their ballot,
or mailing it in. With so many options, you can vote when it's convenient for you.
Election Day is the last day to cast your ballot.
So the question isn't why vote early,
it's why wait. Join the celebration and find out how you can vote early at voteearlyday.org.
Pets are a staple in any household. They sure are in mine.
Mine as well.
But there's one UNC student that has a pet you might not see coming because of its camouflage. Joshua Dolgoff tells his story.
Most college students that get a pet go for the standard cat or dog pick, but Matthew Koenig so far went for a more exotic route by becoming a chameleon owner.
I got really into watching like build videos of like animal enclosures, so I just really wanted to try building one. There were a couple options that we were looking at getting, but I think chameleon was something that we were all really excited about.
Koenig so far got to building in August of last year, making his vivarium tank from scratch.
That was the part that I was most excited about.
And after 9 months of construction, it was ready to be the home of the one and only Esteban.
We knew it had to be something a little bit unique Well, most people say his name is Esteban, and I say, no, it's not Esteban, it's Esteban.
Just like the name, chameleons are unique animals as they change color based on their surroundings. But taking care of a chameleon is no easy task.
Chameleons need it really warm, roughly between like 70 and 80 degrees. They need really high humidity. I have a little spray bottle that I'll mist. He needs to be fed once a day, every day. He'll eat roughly like 4 crickets a day. It's a decent amount of work.
While it came at a surprise at first, Koenig Sofa's roommate Pratik Macharaju was in full support of getting the chameleon.
I'd known that Matthew is like really passionate about like these exotic pets, and it would make him happy.
It even makes having visitors a lot more fun, making Esteban a prized part of their family.
It's the first thing people see whenever they come in.
The first thing they do when they walk in is, where's Esteban?
I don't think 6'4" would be complete without Esteban.
There's no doubt about it. Koenig Sofa is clearly the chameleon whisperer amongst the Tar Heels. In Chapel Hill, I'm Joshua Dolgoff.
Well, that it sure is a cool pet. I think if I was a chameleon, I would turn Carolina blue.
I like that. And you know, I was thinking while we were watching that, I could actually be a chameleon. I also enjoy 70-degree tropical feeling weather.
I totally agree with you there.
Yes. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week. We'll see you next time.